Hello everyone, it's Jerry Caudell, the Yankee Creek Stitcher, and I'm finally back for floss tube number 42. I've taken about 2 months off. No particular reason. I've been doing a lot of stitching and finishing. Just got around to doing a floss tube to share everything with you. I've gotten really excited. I'm going to be participating in the 24 hours of cross stitch that's going on. Actually started at midnight this morning, Friday, April 23rd, and goes through Sunday at midnight. So I'm excited about that. I have several projects lined up that I'm going to be working on. I do have some Maynia plans that I'll be sharing with you. So we're just going to jump right into it, and we're going to start off with some fully finished projects. I love doing that. Sometimes I get the bug to start finishing things. You can see I don't have everything fully finished. That's on my wall, but I'm getting there. I got plans for several of them. So, you know, you got to stitch a little bit and then finish a little bit. So, and I do have a microphone now, so hopefully it works out well. And it doesn't make a lot of rustling noise. So we'll see. Okay, so I did a quick mic check just to make sure the sound was good and I wasn't getting too much, you know, playing my sweatshirt. So fingers crossed this works out better and everyone can hear me. So let's jump into, oh, and everything is great in our neck of the woods. Spring is finally here. But it was crazy though. This week, April 20th or 21st, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, we got almost 2 inches of snow. It was 70 degrees through the day until about, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the evening, and then the cold front came through and the temperatures crashed and we got 2 inches of snow overnight. Absolute insanity. We just could not get over it. But anyway, it's all gone now. We're going to have a lot of rain tomorrow, so it is a perfect weekend to just stitch and stitch and stitch. I got my house all cleaned up. I don't have any, you know, wifely duties of cleaning the house or doing the laundry or anything. And my husband works this weekend, so I have a totally clear schedule to do all the stitching that I want to do. So I'm super excited, but everybody's doing great. We're all healthy and happy. And so, yeah, let's jump into fully finished objects. The first one I'll share with you is the one I finished right after my last floss tube in February. This is Jenny Bean's, Christmas sampler. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of it. But anywho, I finished stitching it and was trying to figure out a frame for it. I'm not totally happy with how it looks in this. I think I don't like a lot of border there at the top, so I'm gonna fix it somehow. But I love the frame this is in. It's repurposed. I had bought this from a little antique shop that a friend of mine had, and she was getting rid of a lot of stuff. And this had an old family portrait. Oh gosh, from the 18 or 1900s. I can't remember if it was dated or not. I might have it. Ha, I do. This was the photo that was in it. Isn't that cool? I thought that was so cool. It was, it's taken on South Liberty Farm. So, and Pearl, whoever Pearl is, signed it. So I thought that was so cool. They're from around the Palmyra, Indiana area. I did post on social media, Facebook, to see if any, you know, friends or family around in the area may have known the family. If they wanted the photo, they're welcome to have it. So I still have it. But I did take it out of this frame and repurposed the frame. So yeah, I love it. It's old. I just popped it out of there. It's just fabric on the back. So yeah, it's a very old, heavy old frame. So Jenny beans, all done for now, unless I go back and fix it, but it's good enough for now. I also did a snow globe finish. It's a little dusty here. I was getting ready to finally put my Christmas stuff up in my attic and wanted to share these with you before I put them all away. I did finish these after my last floss tube. But this, gosh, I was trying to, it's a book that has a lot of similar stitches as this is done. But this is the only piece I had done out of the book, and there are lots more that I want to do. But anyway, this is the snow globe finish that Vonna Pfeiffer had shared on her floss tube channel. And easy peasy. I bought a pack of these. I think I have about 40 more of these globes that I can use. So very easy to do. Vonna's instructions are always fabulous. But yeah, I think this is maybe a tablespoon and a half of the flake, and looks awfully bumpy, but just hot glued some felt on the back, did some pom-poms on the edge, done. Did not take long at all. So cute. I know there's a lot of glare, but really happy with how that turned out. And I do keep my orts all year long. And so I put together this year's ornament. The first year I had done it, and the first year I was really back into cross stitch was 2018. And this is my 2018 ornament. I just take a paint marker is all I've done so far. You can see 2018 in there. And that's just my orts from 2018. It's so cool to see all the colors. This is my 2019 orts. And this was my 2020. So I love that. Yes, it's just a lot of thread ends, but I just think it's so cool. Like, I did all that. I used up all that. So those are my ornaments. Then I had, let's see. Oops. I think this is my last cross stitch, or fully finished. Yeah, this is my last cross stitch fully finished. This is the Seasons in Chalk from Hands On Design and Priscilla with Stitching with the Housewives. And I think all 4 seasons was in the Just Cross Stitch magazine. I think, because I also have the fall one that it's a current WIP, but I finished stitching spring. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Frame it, put it on a pillow. My mom had found this at Ben's Bargain Mart. It's one of the stores that buy out stores that are closing down and, have, stuff that are $2-3. But this was like, I'll show you the back of it. It was just a natural wood color. I painted it, just a white, creamy white. Took all the hardware off, painted it. The board did say, I don't know, it said something in there. So I just covered it up with a piece of fabric. And I am going to use this as my letter holder or mail holder to take down to my basement. That's where all our bills and, all the fun stuff is held. So instead of piling up on my kitchen island, it can go in here. So yeah, it has hangers on the back. And so this piece is just magnets and washers holding this on here. So, and this bow, right now the bow is actually glued to this fabric, but it will come out. It's not glued onto the wood frame itself, so it'll pop out when I take all of this out to change out the seasons, because since there's 4 seasons of this series, I wanted to be able to change it out. So here's my spring one. So yeah, it'll be by our door. It'll be my, I'm going to put a little thing in here, mail, probably say mail in here. But I was super excited about that because, you know, I'm going to be able to see it, you know, 3 or 4 months of the year and change it out. And I just love it. I thought it turned out really cute. Okay, so that was my cross stitch finishes. I do have a few other little finishes. Cynthia Brew was Stitching in the Light. She has got me hooked on doing these little primitives. She shares them. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make one too. And so the pattern is on Liberty Creek Primitives, I think is the Etsy shop. And the pattern was, I think, called Edgar, but I wanted it to be more girly. So this is Edna, Edgar's sister. But it's so simple. It's so quick, easy to make. I have several more patterns that I want to make. It's actually 2 or 3 more bunnies. I think I have some pigs in progress from some that Cynthia had made, so I got that pattern as well. So they're so quick and easy, and it's just a quick, you know, painting this on here. You know, nothing about it is perfect because it's prim. And so I just glued a couple buttons on there. The carrot, easy to make. So super happy with how this turned out. So this is Miss Edna. Then I also fully finished the Christmas quilt that I had made from Buttermilk Basin, the free sew along that they had shared. And it is fully finished. It's quilted, it's bound, it's actually hung on my wall for a few weeks. Just because I know Christmas was way over by the time I finished it, because I finished it late February, early March maybe. But super thrilled with how it turned out. I did wash it to get all the wrinkly look into it. I love that look. And then I put my little tabs on the back here. I think there's actually 4. Yeah, there's 4 tabs, and I stick my dowel rod in there and just a couple nails on the wall, and it's done. But I was really happy with how it turned out. And I did another really quick small table topper. I actually started it and finished it on a Saturday. I found this pattern on Pinterest. Simple little flag here. I just picked out some reds. I had this gold star fabric. And then this fabric has the states. So I thought that was perfect to use as my white stripes, was the stars and the states. And then I quilted some stars in the star fabric. I thought that was perfect to use. So it's a small, but it's a cute little table mat. So yeah, love it. Let's see, I think that was all my fully finished items. Let me switch out and get some finished items to share with you. Okay, so I have just a few finished items, not fully finished yet. The first one I'll share with you is henpeck. I think it was in my last WIP parade in January that I actually debated changing out this whole project. I wasn't very happy with it. I think I had this big flower done and maybe the blue one. I wasn't crazy about the colors, but I thought, you know what? Just stitch it. I think it'll be okay. And I did. And I love it. I think it looks great. The colors are just fine. And it's finished. That's what I love the most about it. So probably turn this into a small pillow, possibly a small flat finish to stand up on something or attach to a magnet. I'm not positive, but something in that line. This is Henpeck by Plum Street Samplers. Very cute. This was, I know she has a series of all the little stack things. This is my first finish one of those. And I think this is the only one of those charts that I have. I may have gotten the foxes. I'm not positive. So, one finish. And I started Spring Fling. I was in the mood to stitch something springy. I actually finished this before I went on to Henpecks, because after I finished this, okay, I was like, okay, what am I going to stitch next? This was on the called for fabric, and it had recommended, Brenda Gervais had recommended to dip the fabric in red wine to make it a little more pink and to help the rabbit itself stand out a little bit. Well, I didn't do that. I'm not sure why I didn't. I had plenty of red wine. It probably would have looked really cool. But for some reason, well, I know what it was. I wanted to get started on it. I'm too impatient to go through the process. I just wanted to start stitching it. So, but I was watching Lori Schicklone with, oh heck. I can't think of her floss tube channel. Oh, sorry, Lori, I can't think of your channel. But she had finished this as well recently, and she had shared that she did not dip the fabric in red wine either, and was wanting to help make that white pop a little bit more. And she thought, which I don't know why I didn't think of this either myself, but she's like, put some pink fabric behind it. And I have just some solid pink fabric. And I thought that was brilliant. So brilliant. It does make quite a bit of difference in helping. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the monitor. Actually, yeah, I think you can. The rabbit just does not pop out as well as it does with the pink fabric behind it. Even if it is subtly more prevalent, I think it does help it. So I commented that I thought that was just brilliant that she thought of that. So yeah, finished number 2. Super excited about that. But I tell you what, I had heard many people comment that the white, stitching this white, wow. I didn't devote a whole lot of time to it every day. I mean, I stitched just on the white for a couple of weeks. Oh my goodness. You just got tired of stitching it. So I could only stitch a few lines, and then I had to stitch on something else. I think I was going back and forth with Henpeck in this one. But yeah, she has what, the cat, or it's a black cat or a bat or something for the Halloween one. It is so adorable, and I really want to stitch it, but not anytime soon if I ever tackle it. Because shoo-wee, it was a lot. And one more. Oh, ha! Yes, my quilt. You had seen the progress of it. I finally finished piecing it. It's all pieced, the border on it and everything. It just needs to be quilted and bound. So I got that part of it done. It was like, whew, okay. So I went back to doing some cross stitch, focusing on some cross stitch. But yeah, I think I got that done on, I don't know, a couple weeks. Or maybe, I don't know if I did show this on my last floss tube. I can't remember. It's been so long. But anyway, yes, this quilt top is fully pieced. I'm just going to need to quilt it and bind it. But it's a great table topper size. So, and I just love the bright springy colors. I did at least drape it over a table around Easter time just to enjoy the colors. They looked really good. Okay, so let me swap these out and we'll move on to whips. Okay, so the whips I have worked on in between finishing those is I worked a little bit more on Carolyn Manning's Daybreak. This is my New Year, New Start. And the more I work on this, the less I like the colors. I am just not crazy about these colors. I've kept telling myself to give it a chance, stitch a few more, you know, hopefully it'll come together and I'll like it. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about a lot of the oranges and the greens and the rust colors. I'm just not crazy about them. And I actually went through and looked, you know, of configurations of some more of the diamond shapes that are in the pattern. I'm like, okay, maybe there's going to be some more color combinations that I'm going to be a little more crazy about. And there was one of them, it was a big area of one color and then two more colors on the outside. So, you know, I thought I want to see what those colors are. Well, I pulled the colors and it's like a combination. It was 3 yellows. And it was 3 yellow. You can tell the difference in these. So I'm not sure which 3 yellows it was. But it was 3 of these yellows. And 2 of them, you could very barely tell a difference in the shade. Like the main color yellow and then the yellow that around it, you couldn't even tell a difference in the shading or the difference. And then there was a few more boxes around the very outside of it, and it was just an ever so slightly lighter shade of yellow. I'm like, the whole thing is just yellow. I'm just not crazy about it. So I think I'm just gonna flip this fabric upside down, pick out colors that I like, just fun, bright colors, pinks, purples, turquoises, you know, and some of these colors I'll actually use, but not in the combination that is used in the chart. So yeah, I've decided, you know, life's too short. I like the pattern. I want to have it finished because I think it's a really cool layout. It reminds me of a quilt. And I really want it to hang it on my wall, but I want it to be colors that I'm not going to look at and be like, I wish I'd used different colors. So I'm early enough in the process of this. You know, I've got 2 full diamonds completed. That's really not a lot. That it's too cumbersome to rip out. So I'm going to rip this out. You know, I've said I'm going to participate in 24 hours across this weekend, and sometimes you just need a break from stitching so I can rip. So that's my plans, is rip this out, pick out some, you know, some more colors that I like. I definitely like purple, so I'm going to add some more purples in this and just do combinations that I like instead of going by the chart. So that's what I'm going to do on that. So I'm calling a redo on this one. So I'll work a little bit on ripping that out and picking out some different colors for it. Because, you know, I have so many charts that I want to stitch. I'll have to live to 250 to stitch everything that I have. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my time on stitching something that I'm not enjoying looking at as I'm stitching it. I'm just like, ugh, just don't like the color combination. So it's like, you know, don't be miserable while you're stitching it. Don't put all this time and effort into it and you're not happy with the end product. So I've decided that's what I'm doing. And going forward, there's actually a couple more projects that I'm thinking I'm either changing it or I'm not going to continue on with it. So, okay, so redo on that one. My next one I worked on, let's see, that was that bag. Okay, the next one, because, you know, after I spent so much time stitching on Spring Fling, and then I focused on doing henpeck for just a couple weeks, just solely focused on those two projects. I've heard several people say you get finished with a project or two that you've been focused on for so long, you're kind of like, what am I going to stitch on next? You know, you got to find something else you want to focus on. So, you know, going through the 50 whips that I have, as I've been doing, I've been wanting to focus on my older pieces, trying to get those finished because I like them and I want to get them hung at my home. So it's like, well, if you're going to get them done, you're going to have to focus on them. So that's what I've been doing. The next piece that I've pulled out is Birds of a Feather Toile Rooster. I just think this is so awesome. I love this chart. Love it. I started this, let's see, I started this April 15th of 2019, so it's now over 2 years old. It is stitched on 30 count Weeks Dye Works Chickpea, and I absolutely love this color. I just, I think it's fabulous. Oh, that's really washed out. Let's see if I can get something behind it to help, because it's such a beautiful orange. It's a little bit better. Oh, there we go. Oh, I just think it's so pretty. I would love to have some more of this fabric. So I did have I don't think I've stitched on any of the letters. I've mainly focused on this rooster, and I've only stitched on this, I think 2 nights this week is when I started focusing on this. This is one you have to really concentrate on, so you really have to be in the mood to concentrate. It's not, you know, like Spring Fling where you have a big area and you just stitch and stitch and stitch. It's, you know, you have to focus on your chart. I have a working copy, and each line I stitch, I get done stitching that line, I actually just go over, stitch, 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 stitch. There's some gaps in here, so, you know, I go over so far, and if there's a big gap, that's where I stopped. I go back and highlight it and then go down to the next line. So I stitch it a line across as far as I can go. And that's working out really well. I am stitching this with just DMC 310. And I started this early on, and I love stitching just one strand of floss over 2 linen threads, but I did start this stitching 2 over 2. And, you know, going back and starting it now and stitching 2 over 2, I was like, ugh. But now that I've been stitching it, I've come to realize it's probably a good idea that I did use 2 strands to make it a thicker, bolder black, because, you know, 1 over 2, it makes it a little more sparse. That I like that look. But for this, where it's kind of sparse anyway, the way the pattern's stitched, I think it would have looked, it wouldn't have looked as bold as it needs to if I had only stitched 1 over 2, especially on 30 count. Now, if I'd used 40 count, of course, 1 over 2 would have been fine. But this 30 count fabric, it definitely needed the 2 over 2. So since it's just 310, I keep telling myself it's just 50 cents. It's just 50 cents a skein. Because I think this suggested because it suggested using Weeks Dye Works charcoal, and it had said about 9 5-yard skeins of charcoal would be needed to use to stitch this. So, you know, 5 or 6 strands of DMC cost me $3 or $4, so that's fine. But I love this chart. Just takes a lot of concentration, and right now I'm kind of in the mood for it, so that's a good thing. Sometimes you just got to be in the mood to stitch those kind of charts sometime. And where that one you have to concentrate line by line, I knew I was going to have another piece to kind of focus on. And this is an older start for me. This was started in 2018, and I don't even have the actual start date. I just know I started in 2018 when I started back into cross stitch. And this, I actually started this on 40 count. So this was the first piece of a very small count for me back in 2018. So I thought that was pretty ambitious for me back then, and I actually love it. This is 40 count Weeks Dye Works Confederate Gray. The chart is from Ink Circles, Northwoods. I hadn't made a whole lot of progress because I was stitching the corners in this top border, and it's very detailed. And back at that time, I wasn't really in the mood to be as detailed. Small stitches, but I love it now. So I am moving right along. I finished the top border, and I think I might have had the house, and I don't know, it's probably coyotes there. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta get a drink. Throat is getting so dry. But yeah, I finished stitching that detail border there. I finished this part today and putting in the orange and starting on a bird here. So I'm loving it. So I'm moving right along on it. Just picked it back up this week. So I'm trying to zero in on a chart that's going to be good for me to take to work and a card project, and that I look forward to working on. So yeah, really enjoying this. Hopefully can get this knocked out. Where it is an older whip, and I'm wanting to get these older ones knocked out. This one did not make it on my WIPGO board. So that's why I decided, well, if it's not on my WIPGO board, and my WIPGO projects are getting about 5,000 stitches in them this year, I thought, well, I need to focus on this one somehow. So I'm making it my kind of my focus piece for the month between it and Toile Rooster. You know, give me a little bit of variety, because so that was the additional 3 whips, or my 3 whips, but I do have my WIPGO whips that I'll share with you in a moment. So I forgot what I was going to say about that. But I'm loving WIPGO, so we'll just segue right into that. So I'm getting my WIPGOs, like she pulls the numbers on the 27th, which is just a couple more days away. So I've got a couple months of WIPGO progress to show you. Let's see. Yep, they're right here. Okay, so I shared with you the February WIPGO because I start on them like as soon as the first of the month rolls around. I get started on them because I'm so excited to get the progress made on them. So in March, it was Miss Baxter's house. I'll show you my progress thus far, because Miss Baxter's house has been drawn 1, 2. Okay, she's been drawn twice. And my other one for March, was Christmas Quaker, and that's the 3rd time it's been drawn. So Christmas Quaker has had 3,000 stitches put in since January, and Miss Baxter has had 2,000 stitches put in since January. So this is my WIPGO board and the progress I've made. So each month I've already gotten my two charts, 1,000 stitches a piece. So yeah, I'm not really close to a bingo, WIPGO yet. But I'm enjoying it. I am, you know, it's helping me make progress on these charts. And they're all my older WIPs. So, like I said, I'm trying to get those knocked out. So we'll start with Miss Baxter's House, which is by Stacy Nash. And Cynthia Brew, she shared her Miss Baxter's House again, her fully finished, on her last floss tube, because she's doing all the birds, and oh my gosh, that's what made me want to pull out my 12 Rooster and get to working on it. But I had mentioned this before, because when Cynthia had mentioned it, I was like, oh man, I want to do that, because I had mentioned I'm not crazy about these pink flowers, because that red is just so beautiful. And where I made these flowers red as well, seeing Cynthia's again, I actually may pull out these pink flowers. You know, working up to it and wanting to get it done during this weekend with 24 hours of cross stitch. I'm going to be stitching and unstitching. But it just looks so good to have the red flowers coordinate. It just brings it all together, I think. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out those pink flowers. It actually kind of makes me excited to work on it again, because I just did not. I just don't like those pink flowers, so got to get it done. But yeah, she's had 2,000 stitches, which basically it's all been in the house. I think, yeah, I finally got this wall done. I got a whole wall complete. So I'm putting in the windows over here, finish the roof. So McKenna, I got a wall and the roof done for your long lost relative. We're getting there. We're getting there. So my next piece, as I mentioned, was Christmas Quaker. And Christmas Quaker has had 3,000 stitches put in it. I am stitching this on 36 count fog, I believe. Oh, I can't find my project sheet. But anyway, it's 36 count. And I'm pretty sure it was called fog. It's a faint green. But I love stitching on this. I just love stitching on this. The red is just gorgeous. It's Buckeye Scarlet. And I have just made so much progress. This huge motif, the angel, this, the pot, I mean, absolutely love this. And I love stitching on this fabric. The stitches just lay so beautiful. It's just everything I'd hoped it would be. Loving it. So, you know, this was 3,000 stitches that I've put in since January. Oh my gosh. This chart. Oh, if you're not familiar with it. So I've got this, like this area done. that's okay. At least I'm enjoying stitching on it, so. Because if I wasn't enjoying it and I had that much further to go on it, ooh, I don't think I would. I think I would just have to say, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I love stitching it, so that's a good thing. And my last WIPGO piece, so that was my March, what was called for March. In April, it was, of course, 2 different numbers, but both those numbers was for my December, Prairie Schooler December chart. So it got 2,000 stitches put into it. I'm stitching this one here, and I'm gonna stitch that one as well. But oh my gosh, after I've gotten moving along, because I was like dreading stitching these trees. I'd gotten down to that part. I had most of the words in. I have since finished the fireplace, got it all stitched, and look at that. Did the one of the limbs, one of the houses, the trees. And this is 36 count. Yes, 36 count macchiato from Luminous Fiber Arts. I love stitching on Misty's fabric. This is just, I love it. My stitches always lay so perfect on her fabric. I just love it. After I got into this, I actually think I stitched more than 2,000 on this one. I am just loving it. And once, I can't remember which, it might have been, I think it was this chart that I started, because I was going to do, you know, limb by limb, stitching limb by limb. It's like, oh my gosh. So that's when I decided, you know what? I'm only having to skip, this is the back. I'm only having to skip a few stitches between each stitch, a couple of spaces between each stitch. So it's just line by line as how I finished that limb. You can see the back. I actually didn't waste a lot of floss doing it that way. It actually went really quick. So that's where I implemented that into my toile Rooster. It's a lot of, you know, like confetti stitching that eventually comes together to make the picture. But it's definitely stitches up a lot faster. So yeah, that's my progress on December. Love it. Okay, that was my WIPGO pieces. Now I'm going to share with you the projects that I want to work on this weekend for 24 hours of cross stitch. And I do have Maynia plans. So let me get all that out and I'll share those with you now. Okay, so change of plans. I am actually going to share with you my Maynia plans. I was going to share, I had picked out 8 or 10 charts that I wanted to work on for my 24 hours of cross stitch. For whatever I feel like stitching on. I'm already almost to an hour. So let me share with you Maynia plans, and on my next floss tube, I can actually share what I actually did for 24 hours of cross stitch. They're all older whips, so I'm hoping, my plan is to work an hour or 2 on each one of them, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so my Maynia plan is similar to what I did last year. Is I worked on, and this idea came from Stephanie with Lindy Stitches, it's more of a Maynia than a Maynia. I've picked out 4 whips that I'm going to focus each week. I'm going to give each of them a week's focus on getting them stitched. And they're not part of my oldest whips, but they're older whips for sure, 2019. So a week focus, and then on the weekends, depending on if I feel like it, I have 4 new starts that I would like to start. And because some of these charts I get stitching on them, I was like, you know what? I just want to keep on stitching this. I'm going to give it some more time. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to allow myself 4 starts, and I've got them picked out. They'll all be kitted up and ready to go. So let me share with you the older WIPs that I want to give a focus on for the week. So no particular order, not sure which ones I will work on first, but this chart I started December 10th of 2018. It is by Needle Treasures. It was a kit. Needle Treasures, Home for Christmas. And like I said, this was December of 2018. It says, I'm coming home for Christmas, light the candles on the tree, dust the picture albums, and set a place for me. Put the cinnamon in the cider and the oysters in the stew. I need to share my sweetest memories there at home with you. Oh, I love that. Love that. It's so simple, but yet so, I just love it. So, yeah, to have started this in 2018, did not make much progress. I know I stitched on this. I don't remember the last time I stitched on it. I might have stitched on it a little bit in January. I'm not sure. It was this year or last year that I've put just a few stitches, like finishing this tree here and going over in the landscape a little bit. So it's not much that I've worked on it. But yeah, it's really not that bad of a stitch. It does use blended threads, which that doesn't bother me. So I just need to do it. It's stitched on, I think this is 28 count even weave is what I went with. I think Ada came in the, yeah, it came with 14 count Ada, and this is 28 count even weave. And I'm stitching it 2/2. I think that's kind of why I'm not crazy about stitching on it, is it's 2/2, because it's a little thick. You got to use a little more pressure to get that needle through there for me. And, you know, I like stitching 1/2. But I love the chart. So yeah, we're going to push on through and hopefully get this one knocked out soon. Another that I want to focus on for the week is Brenda Gervais' Forever and Ever. This is actually on my WIPGO board as well. But, and once it gets called on my WIPGO board, it'll get 4,000 stitches in it this year at some time just from WIPGO. But I think it's going to need more than that to get done. So that's why I have chosen it to focus on it, because I love this chart. It's so pretty. Oh yeah, it's definitely more than 4,000. Because I know I worked on it quite a bit a couple months ago. It was a work piece that I took to work with me. And no, was it this one? No, that was Autumn Bouquet. Never mind, that was Autumn Bouquet. This one I haven't worked on a whole lot here lately. So here we go. So yeah, I love stitching those letters. It's the, oh Lord. What's the name of those stitches? Oh goodness. Smyrna. The Smyrna stitch. Smyrna crosses. Whatever they're called. I enjoy stitching them. It's really cool. They're easy to stitch on this fabric. I am stitching it on 36 count Legacy. And this was my in 2019, I did early Stitch Mania in April. And I did a start each day, I believe is what I did. And this was my April 1st start. So April 1st of 2019. So this is over 2 years old as well. So hopefully we will be making some good progress. And what did I do with my... No, it fell on the floor. Thought I was going crazy. So yeah, as I went through all my project bags, trying to decide which ones I wanted to do, it was like, you start doing that, then you get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, I want to work on all 50 of them. So then you're just kind of like, yeah, this one looks good. Yeah, this one looks good. It's old. It needs some attention. I like working on it. The next one here is Cinnamon Stars. I started it in early Stitch Mania, April 20th of 2019, and I am stitching it on 36 count macchiato. I love the macchiato. So this is the chart from Plum Street Samplers. I think almost everyone has stitched this. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love, love, love it. I think my biggest holdup for this chart was I didn't have all the floss colors back at that time, as I do now, as you've seen from my floss organization video. So I have pretty much all of the flosses now. I actually had went through and pulled some more, but not all of them that I need. So I'm definitely going to be able to make more progress than I was, because that's all I got is 6 fence posts. This is going to take some time, but it is a beautiful chart, so I know I'm going to enjoy working on it. And plus it's one of my favorite fabrics, 36 count macchiato. So I know just from the fence that I've stitched in, I loved stitching the fence, but that's as far as I got. So yeah, I'm excited about focusing on it for a week to see how far along I can get on it. Oops, let me put the chart back in. It's already a mess in here, and I don't need to be losing stuff. I forgot to put my picture in the other one. I'm going to go to stitch these and not have everything together. Nose itch. I don't know what it is with floss tubers and our nose itching. So the last whip I decided to work on is Heartstring Samplery Rooster, Rooster and Acorns. I love roosters. I love acorns. I did not use the same color scheme. I changed up my colors. And let's see. I started this April 14th of 2019. I am using 28 count Picture This Plus Cyprium. And the floss I'm using is Gast Gentle Arts Cinnamon. So, hold it up so you can get the full, oh yeah. I'm afraid that fabric's going to get washed out. It's very warm. Yeah, it's the light. I don't have my daylight. It's my overhead light that I'm using tonight. I usually record in the mornings, but I'm going to be stitching in the morning. But anyway, it is a beautiful fabric. There you can get more representation of that. But anyway, the cinnamon floss that I'm using I absolutely love the floss. It's just beautifully variegated. Where's my project bag? No, heck. I don't even know what I do with my floss. Well, that was part of my story, was I had just a little, there it is. I didn't have much of it left. So Cynthia Brew enabled me to purchase, and I'd wanted to stitch it for a while, but I wanted to purchase Stacy Nash's, was it Henrietta? The hen? She had that one, and she had already stitched Jenny Wren, the bird, and it was gorgeous. So they've been on my radar. I don't even own them. So when she said she had gotten Henrietta and was probably going to be stitching on it soon, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to find the chart. So I searched on Etsy. I found a shop that had Jenny and Henrietta, and with a $35 order, free shipping. So I knew this was not going to finish this project, and I knew I was wanting to stitch on it this weekend. So I ordered 5 more skeins of 10 yards, 10-yard skeins. 5 more 10-yard skeins of cinnamon to hopefully finish this chart. Because once again, I started stitching this. This is 28 count, but it's a very tightly woven fabric, and it's probably more like a 32. And I wish I had started stitching this 1/2 instead of 2/2. So, because it's going to, like I said, it's going to eat up this floss. Because I think this skein has been dedicated to this project. So, I know I'm going to need more, but I'm also considering flipping it upside down and restarting it and stitching it 1/2. What? Am I crazy? Because I actually need, before I start stitching on this again, you can see I only have I've only got like an inch border at the top. So I need to measure to make sure that it's going to fit, because I'm not stitching this made by, I'm not stitching that. I'm just doing the roosters and the acorn here in the middle. So I need to make sure that I've measured properly, because I'm thinking I can probably scoot down some. So I might consider that. But if it's placed okay, and I'm going to have room, I'm just debating if I'll probably do like a row, just stitch a practice row using 1/2 to see how it looks. And if I like it more, I may actually flip this over, stitch, and rip. Might have to call this the stitch and rip floss tube. What has gotten into me? I think I'm just realizing when I consider doing new starts, I go through my charts and I see all the charts, because I'll show you in some of my new starts. I went there, I'm like, oh my God, I totally have forgotten all the charts that I already have. And because when I see them again, I want to stitch them so bad. So it's like, do I want to spend time stitching something that I'm not enjoying the actual stitch, that I've not made a whole lot of, I'm like, what? Now, if I was about halfway done stitching a couple of those that I said I might rip out, if I was halfway done stitching them, I'm not going to rip that out. It would be what it is. But seeing these charts that I want to stitch, it makes me only want to spend my time on things that I know I love to stitch, and that I'm going to enjoy looking at once I've actually finished them. So those are the 4 WIPs I'm going to focus on for Maynia. And here are the 4 starts that I would like to start. The first one, I have wanted to stitch this for a year or two. I didn't even have the chart, but I would see the chart and a couple people had stitched it and I was like, oh, but here recently there's been more people stitching this, and just somebody I had watched the last couple of weeks, I can't remember who it was. I think they were going to start it as one of their Maynias. So I purchased the chart. I know I have fabric that I'll be able to use. So all I have right now is my chart. So I still have a couple weeks to figure out what fabric I'm going to use and start pulling the floss. And the people that I've seen stitch this have used the called for floss. So I will just pull them. Mostly gassed. So what I don't have, I should have. But if I don't have it, I will get something close. So 1 start. My next one is, I got my Souvenirs of Summer book. Just love being able to have this in my hot little hands. And the first one, I think I just want to stitch everything in here, of course. But I think the first one I'm going to stitch, well, not think, I know the first one I'm going to stitch is this one. And what is it called? Is it Summer Jubilee? Yes, Summer Jubilee. And I can't remember where I picked this up at. If it was an LNS while we were traveling, or seen it online. I thought, ooh, that's pretty. I can't remember. But the called for fabric was 18th century blackbird linen. Hello, I had it in my stash. Oh my gosh, I was so freaking excited. I already had the fabric in my stash. I've already cut it out to size that I need it. It's 36 count. It called for 30 count, but I love 36 count. So I'm using my 36 count, and now all I have to do is go through and pull out the flosses. And I think I have pretty much all of these flosses. If I don't have it, I know I have something extremely close to it. So super, super excited. And I think it's just so cool that I actually had a piece of fabric in my stash that it called for. Let's see. The next one was enabled by Amanda May with Artist Designs. She had stitched this and everyone just oohed and awed. Her finished piece of this is absolutely gorgeous. And I made note of the fabric that she used because it was just perfection. But I don't remember what the fabric was. So Autumn Dream by Cottage Garden Sampleries. Absolutely gorgeous. Ugh, love it. Just love the little pumpkin birdhouse. It's just a beautiful, beautiful chart. So it called for Weeks Dye Works 36 count sanguine, whatever that is. I am going to use 36 count Egyptian sands. I think it'll be really pretty on this fabric with those colors. So yeah, 36 count. I already cut this fabric down to size as well. Just need to pull the flosses And all of these are weeks. I've started my weeks collection. I already had some weeks, but I've gotten, I think, 3 or 4 shipments now of Weeks Dye Works from Trish with 3 All Threads. So hopefully I will have most of these. And if not, it gives me the DMC alternate, and I will closely match as best I can for that. So that is my 3rd start. Now my 4th start is, okay, so here we go again. I had started When Witches Go Riding. This was probably back in, I don't know, 2018 or 2019 as well. This, I had started it on 40 count. My note says it's 40 count macchiato. I know this is not macchiato. I believe it's Harvest Moon, because I have another project on Harvest Moon, and it's, I know macchiato from my other projects, it's not this color. So I believe this is Harvest Moon. But I had mentioned Nell with Little Yellow House Crafts, and then she had 4 or 5 of the Prairie Schooler Halloween charts that she had stitched on the same color fabric, but they each were framed separately, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So she could display, I think she was putting it on her mantle or bookcase or something. So I made note of the charts that she had, and then Helen D, she had stitched, I think, Sweeping Cobwebs, because I think this is the one I had Misty order me a month or 2 ago. Because after Helen D showed it, it's like, okay, I've got to have that one too. Sweeping Cobwebs. So I have. So anyway, to bring everything together here, I had gotten a yard of the 36 count macchiato from Misty at Luminous Fiber Arts, because I want to be able to stitch these all on the same fabric to frame each of them separately, like Nell with Little Yellow House Crafts. So I'm not sure exactly how many charts Prairie Schooler has that are the same size Halloween themed. So I do have, basically I have to figure out, so once again, ditching this, my progress here, I hadn't even finished the top border, so I was like, this is something else I can rip out to reuse this fabric. And so now I just need to figure out which one I want to start first. Do I want to pick When Witches Go Riding? I can pick it back up and just, restart it and go from there, because I love all of these. So I'm going to do them all. So it's a matter of, okay, which one do I want to do first? And then I have Trick or Treat. Sweeping Cobwebs. Witching Hour. And All Hallows Eve. So that's 5, 2, yeah, that's 5. So I need to figure out how many they actually have and decide which one I want to start first. And I got to make sure I get all of these, because I want them all. Okay, so yeah, I've got my fabric. So I just need to decide which chart, get my fabric cut out, because I'm not going to stitch on this one big piece. I've got to cut it down in individual sizes. So, and then pull the floss, and it's all DMC, and I'm stitching several other Prairie Schoolers, so I know I have all the floss that they use, and I won't be changing any of the colors because they're perfection as they are, I believe. Whew. So that is my 4th start for Stitch Mania. Oh yeah, I've actually already got the floss. I just need to get those on floss tags. That's how long it's been since I've worked on this project, is still on bobbins. Wow. Whew, okay. Whew, my throat is getting sore and very dry from doing so much talking. I think that's it. Let me check my notes real quick. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited because it is like perfect weekend for 24 hours of cross stitch. I got some snacks together. I have some Netflix series and some classic movies and some movies people have recommended that I'm like, I need to watch that one day. It's about 9 o'clock Friday night. My husband goes to work at about 10 tonight and works till like 6:30 in the morning. So I'm going to stitch as late as I can tonight. I mean, I'm not going to push myself, and I know I'm not going to be able to stitch all night long. So I'm going to stitch as long as I can tonight. And I look forward to seeing a lot of floss tubes. I'm thinking people will post some floss tubes, and it's going to be raining all day tomorrow. My youngest daughter is going to Franklin, Tennessee to visit my older daughter tonight or in the morning. She hadn't decided when she was leaving, so the girls are both out of town. My husband's working this weekend. It's like the perfect, I would say perfect storm, but it's like, it's just the perfect weekend for it all to come together and to have a ton of stitching time and TV, movie, binge watching. So I'm super excited. So on my next floss tube, you'll get to see the progress that I made. Hopefully a lot on just a couple of projects, or maybe some progress on a lot of projects. So we'll see what I get in the mood to do. And maybe once it gets late, I'll rip stitches instead of try to put stitches in. So if you're enjoying a 24-hour weekend of cross stitch, I hope you're enjoying it and you get a ton of stitches in. If not, I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I hope to catch back up with everyone again soon. Have a fabulous weekend, and hopefully everyone is having a wonderful spring and summer's right around the corner. Bye.